You get a lot of pitches, you get a lot of people approaching you with ideas and with interest. And, we are one of the major employers in Montreal because we have a history of doing creative work. I think it was Rick who had called me up and wanted to have an appointment. It was a little bit out of courtesy more than anything. I didn't really feel like that we would probably have anything to really talk about or in terms of a project, or I'd seen the sort of the sketch review work that they had done, and I thought it was pretty funny, but I kind of didn't know that it was a direction I wanted to go in. And then Rick proposed doing a musical about Schwartz's, and I went, I'm in. I immediately loved the idea. I, like most people that visited Montreal, I had been to Schwartz's on several occasions. And I always found it really a great place. Not only were the sandwiches good, but the place was so lively and colorful and interesting. And it had such an cross-section of people traveling through its doors. And I had been involved with a show in Vancouver that had been a great success for myself and Touchstone and Access Theatre called the Number 14. And it was set on the Number 14 Hastings bus. And we created a show that was set on the bus with 6 actors playing about 50 different characters. And it was a vaudeville in a lot of ways. So when Rick proposed the idea of doing a musical comedy about Schwartz's, I immediately thought of the way that the Number 14 was such a fun opportunity to have kind of entrances and exits and people coming and going. And I was intrigued. So right away I said, yeah, I like this idea. Let's talk further. It was very much a concept at that time with a little bit of an idea of a storyline. They wanted to use Bill Brownstein's book as an inspiration. He'd written a great book about the history of Schwartz's that had all sorts of anecdotes about its history and about the founders of Schwartz's, and it went from there. They are not afraid to be really cheesy at times. They don't have a sense of being all highbrow. That is not a problem with George and Rick. Highbrow is not a problem. But at the same token, I think they really have a good sense of investing characters with some real passions and some real needs and objectives. So they were able to find the humanity in the story as well as the playfulness. I found that they were really good collaborators, and they would listen to me, which was nice too. I felt like we evolved the dynamic of both of the pieces that I worked on with them together, and they were very receptive and very trusting, and that was really nice. It meant that conversations could flow freely and openly, and I am really going to miss We used to sort of reward ourselves after meeting and go to the Notre Dame Greasy Spoon around the corner and have their special, which was their club sandwiches and fries and gravy and Cokes, and we would do that kind of almost as a ritual. And that place closed about a year and a half ago, and I think that's why I'm moving away. It's the end of the era. There's no point in staying. I mean, but we had many a meeting and many a lunches over there, and it was quite often when we felt like we had taken the next step. Sometimes they even bought. Yeah.
That amusing for sure.